Okay, so hope you guys enjoyed that little quick hit segment. That was more like a
please invite me
whatever
back.
the opposite of quick is.
I'm sorry, guys.
It's okay. You're allowed to yawn.
I apologize.
It wasn't too distracting.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you can tell, you know, we have a panel right here that's willing to get real deep, willing to talk about it all. And I'm sure this conversation we're gonna have is definitely gonna be something like what we just had. The topic,
I'll try to keep it easy on you.
Yeah, the topic today, to keep it simple, is pretty much like black men versus black women.
Oh,
like,
I thought it was just men versus women. I could have had more specific notes.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. So I guess the way the topic came about
And the women
was last year or a couple
maybe
years
longer
ago.
now. Yeah.
After recording the podcast, we sometimes like continue talking to each other. I know it's weird. We continue talking after the
We're
podcast.
friends, y'all. Like,
Well, we had a conversation and basically we were like, who has it worse, if you would, right?
Wait, can you hold on for a second?
Sure.
Can I add even more context to
Please.
it?
Sure.
What it was Joe Budden's podcast.
Okay.
They had a conversation about it because Joe Budden made the statement that he feels like black men are the most unsafe or unprotected.
Yes.
Unprotected.
Yes.
So with that, it spawned a conversation amongst us because naturally, as you can imagine, I disagreed with that statement.
Period, because I got stats. Okay.
But you know, some others that I was talking to, including Delapo, you know, had other viewpoints on it. So with that said, yeah,
worthy of examining.
Yeah, and it is definitely a topic worthy of examining. So we ended up landing at a conversation about, you know, who's more unsafe or who has it tougher. Which I figured would be a great topic for Versus, which is why we're rebirthing it for today.
Yes, definitely. And
very
I think that
problematic topic, but
it is exactly
very
I'm glad you
necessary
said
at the
that.
same
Yeah,
time.
Because
it's
it is-
spicy.
It's all
You know,
love. It's all
Yeah,
love.
it's all love.
Conversation.
We're talking about it almost out of you know, sometimes they say like all you can do is laugh at your pain, right? Like you can't. So this is one of those conversations.
Yeah.
It's not so much that like we're trying to win and one
There's
person,
nothing to win because
there's
at
no
the end
winner.
of the day, like
We're
you
black
don't want to
people.
be a winner of this topic,
Facts.
whether you're a male or female.
Yeah.
Like,
Facts.
come on.
Yeah.
Facts.
Nobody wants to have more oppression than the other. I
Yeah.
mean, you could play oppression Olympics all day, every day, but
It's a black problem.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not a black man versus black woman problem.
Yeah.
Black people.
Many would argue that it is, but no, I totally get where you're
And
coming
many
from.
would say that, you know, even broaching the topic from this angle does add more divisiveness between the
True.
genders. But I also agree with Delapo where it's like, no, it's not necessarily to add division. It's to just, you know, bring
express.
express and to bring light to it in a certain
Yes.
sense and just to like have an open dialogue because these are conversations being had, like we said, behind closed doors anyway.
Yeah.
So we
Even on
figured we'd let
Clubhouse,
you guys hear it.
like when I'm up in the middle of the morning and have nothing to
You're
do,
up, and
I'll be
you're up,
listening.
and you're stuck.
I hate you so much. Like these conversations are, people be getting real heated in these rooms. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think on the point of it not being about, you know, dividing each other, or like it's about, like you said, highlighting what exists, and hopefully understanding and sharing different perspectives,
Right.
right? Because as a black woman, as much as you can try, you're not ever going to 100% understand the black man's perspective,
For
Facts.
sure.
and vice versa.
Facts.
So it's like, yo, let's share our perspectives, and maybe you learn a little something from me, maybe I learn a little something from you,
Yeah.
and we'll all be better off for it.
Yeah.
So on that note, I think we should kind of start. I think we should start in like the workplace. I don't know if you agree, but I kind of think that's a good place to start. Just the discrimination, oppression, the differences, and experiences of black men and black women in the workplace. Because I do think that even though your whole life is not at work, a significant portion of your life, like let's say 30% at least, probably is at work.
Yeah. Some people spend 40 years at the same job, or
Yeah.
just of their working life in general.
Or
Of
even on a
course.
lower level, 40 hours a week. That's many hours of your week.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
guys, the 30% was a calculation.
Yeah.
You know, just,
Yeah.
you know, just do the math. I'm right. But to start off, I guess I'll start off with the black male perspective. I hope male is not. Oh, no, I'm just joking. The black man perspective. I think that at work, black men do have it tough in the sense that you're fighting a stereotype that a lot of times is that you don't even belong in the first place.
I agree.
Right? I think that black men do have stereotypes, of course, but a lot of times their stereotypes are, we've seen a lot of the stats of like black women being the most educated and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of times you're accepted on that wavelength for black men, it's kind of opposite. It's kind of like, like a black man works here. Like, what are you doing here? That kind of thing. So I think that black men deal with that to a higher degree sometimes than black women in the workplace, where you just look around and it's like, there's no black men. There's no black people, obviously.
I agree.
But like,
I've had a job that was similar to that kind of situation. Like, of all the managers we had, there's only one black male manager. Actually, sorry, two. And then maybe a sprinkle of a couple others, which of course one of them got accused of sexual assault. I don't know if it was true or not, and he got fired. And so anyway.
Yeah. And I think that there's also there's inherent fear of the black man.
I agree.
Which I think sprinkles through everything we're going to talk about.
I see that.
Is that there's this fear of black men.
Yeah.
And when that fear exists, it automatically is going to affect black men, because now you have to act a little differently. And you just don't understand how people are seeing you, because you could be the most non-threatening, but like I consider myself to be super non-threatening.
Yeah.
But I don't know that people at work see me that way, because they see a black man and they're going to be like...
Not only that, you're proud of who you are. Yeah. You're not trying to like...
dim yourself.
Water yourself down for anybody. You speak AAV or you speak your dialect with your accents. Like, you live in that heavy, so...
Go ahead, Lumi.
Some people might, be kind of averse to it, if that's the right word.
I definitely agree with both. I think, again, I kind of always start with the black thing in itself. So the word black, the black man, the black woman, just that color in itself speaks aggression, and it's threatening to white people, to Asians, to any other. Yeah, to non-black. It's threatening in itself. Yes. So now when you look at the black man, that's like a whole nother level of threat. Right. And unfortunately, when you think black women, you don't necessarily think women first. You think black threat. And then now you think about a woman, minority, insignificant. So it's like, it's just, to answer the question, I think women have it. Unfortunately.
Oh.
But
Dolfo, you chose wrong.
No, it's not that. No. It's not that.
I agree.
Remember, there's no witness here.
I know, you're right.
To that, I do believe women have it worse in the workplace because, being black in itself and then being a woman,
compounded upon
even a more in-depth minority.
Yeah.
Yes. You get overlooked.
For sure. Our voices get drowned out.
You get drowned out.
Yeah.
And
by men in general, not black men.
Now talk about a black man that's still struggling to get up there, and I can't even get up there yet. So I have to get up there before I can even pull you up. And in some instance, black men they conform. When you get up there, you become part of the club.
The boys club.
A bigger percentage, I won't say all of them, you become part of the club. And women become a thing of a plaything, things that you need to keep down there. It's just so much.
Yeah, you see more women in like the administrative roles. Like, there's a quote out there that says there are more CEOs named John, just named John, before CEOs that are women in general. So like, that shows you the representation that women have in higher level C-level or senior level positions in general. So that, I feel like that goes to say a lot. Of course, you always have that stereotype that, if somebody's going to be a secretary or somebody, they have to have a friendly face because they have to be welcoming and things like that. So I guess you would choose a woman.
And I don't know too many
but they won't
secretaries.
You won't take a female being at a higher level because, she's too soft, she's too emotional, this and that, all these negative stereotypes that are associated with us when it comes to our career fields.
Yeah, now I do want to draw a parallel to what Dolapo said, which pretty much synthesizes a lot of what you guys have already said, in the sense that a lot of what I will say now is going to sprinkle everywhere. It's really not just the workplace. I actually don't know that we needed to start in the workplace. I feel like we could have started more general, but yeah, whatever the case might be. With Black women, our oppression is compounded for obvious reasons. It's exponential for obvious reasons, because yes, we have the one minority group that we share with our male counterparts.
Yes.
But on top of that, we have the gendered minority group against us.
Yes.
So we're always working against stereotypes from both angles. Because even when you brought up the aggression thing, we get it too. It might not be physical aggression or physical dominance, but it's like a social aggression. They see us as socially aggressive and too strong. We don't know our place more so than our white male counterparts. Exactly. We don't know our place like our white female counterparts. And so with that said, it's like a lot that you could say that Black men are facing. Black women are facing it in one way or another. Yeah. In addition to what also comes with being a woman.
Right.
And
outside of just being Black.
The other part of that is Black women face it. We face it from men, generally, right?
For the most part, yeah.
Black women face it from men, Black men, white men, and women. White women and Black women. So it's just like I can use my work for example.
It's very layered. It's very intersectional.
Yes, it's so many layers to that. Like I don't want to go to the work then. Maybe I should.
You can go to it without
3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago when I was working in my job. You can probably figure that out. It was the command group. The senior leadership management was basically, I would say, 95% male. But over time, in this year particularly, well, last year, this year, the percentage has changed. It's basically 95% women. And the difference in that is when it was ran by men, there was a certain level of stability, peace in the office, I would put it as that. Versus now, it's so much like subtle chaos. You know, women not disagreeing with each other, like little conversations, just because you're all in a place of leadership, you're in a place of power. Now it's like, you can't tell me what to do. Like, I think that itself is a problem itself, where women are elevated to a place of power rather than working together. It just now feels like competition, but it shouldn't necessarily. Like, there's healthy competition. Yeah. But I think that's in that environment right now, it's more like a toxic competition, I would want to say.
I would attribute that to just lack of balance in general. Like, I don't know where your workplace is or what it is you do, but for, some people, some of the women who were working there when it was 95% male might even say the opposite, saying, oh, it's too rigid, this, that, and the other. And then for some reason, whatever reason that it did flip, I guess maybe some higher ups saw it necessary. Now there's new issues. Like, I think just in general, the lack of balance between men and women there
creates issues.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that it might also be attributed potentially to, I forget the saying, but basically
crabs in a barrel.
Yes, there we go. Right? Like only a few of us can make it. So now we're way more competitive with you. Other versus maybe when it was 95% men.
It's like, oh, that's how it's going to be anyway.
This is my ideal work environment, right? Again, I'm sorry, bro. I think women should lead and have a very strong support male setup. That's mine.
I love it.
Because think about it, right? Women, a lot of the secretary jobs are women in those positions, right? And those positions require what? Organization, planning. There's so many things that come with being a secretary, right? Leadership, like all in all, in that position, because you literally control this man's life in your hands. And if you take that same secretary, I mean, granted experience and everything, and you move her to the top, and you have like the level of execution and organization, and just I've seen it. It works. But the problem is when there are too many women in a space. I think that's where the problem starts.
I mean, I think for me, I won't agree with you because I think that it's oversimplifying. I don't think it's so much that women need to be in leadership positions. Like, of course, women should be in leadership positions. I think it should be representative, or it should be, I think that's the word, representative of the population or of the qualified population. Okay. Right? Like, it's more about, hey, if
qualified
it's only...
can also be like, what's the word I'm looking for? Subjective.
Of course. There's some, but like, hopefully it's truly represented, right? Yeah. You can never really get there. It's a goal that we're always trying to get to. But like how you mentioned, it was 95% women in leadership. Right off the bat, that sounds wrong. Like, what are you doing that it's 95% women? Even when it was 95% men, same thing. It's not, neither one seems correct. Right. So to me, I would expect that there would be issues because it's not it's very unlikely that it represents
There's value
the actual
from
workforce
it definitely
and
doesn't.
actual qualified
Exactly.
population.
It's a majority
So
male
to me, it should
environment.
So to me, it should be representative, and we need enough people of diverse backgrounds, right?
Yes.
We need enough women. We need enough men, because, like you said, if it's only women, there's gonna be problems. If it's only men, there's gonna be problems. If it's too many, I think it's about your perspective.
Okay.
I think it's about your perspective. One, as a man, right? Because I think that you're carrying some things of like, I'm a man, and like we said, maybe you can handle some of the stuff that come with men a little better than some stuff that come with women.
And
I mean,
outside of that, it sounds like this is just a matter of there's a lot of turnover. So if these are a bunch of people who are trying to figure their shit out all at the same time, shit's gonna be a little chaotic.
Yeah.
Like if it was like
I agree.
if it was a subtle, gradual shift to
it's
a 95%
turnover. Yeah, it's
switch.
a standard change of position. It's not. You don't sit in. It's not
but 95% change from men to women in how
that's
long
a
of
big
a time?
swing. That's a big swing.
That's very big.
That's
So,
a big swing in 3 years.
In that environment is a thing of the senior leadership comes in. Now it's the people that you're interviewing, the people you're bringing in. It's your preference now.
Right.
Who you bring in.
Exactly.
Right. And as a woman in charge, you feel, I don't want to work with men, so maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Not necessarily.
And you're interviewing those people, and you're like, "Oh, you're a qualified, woman."
But I think that inherently you've kind of pointed out the flaw, right? Which is the person that's making the decision. One, it sounds like it's
bias.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Their biases are coming into the decision making,
Right.
which automatically is going to make it wrong, because you're not picking the most qualified, the best qualified, the most diverse. You're literally just picking, hey, if I get a woman that can do it, I'm gonna give it the position.
Yeah, because
and you're gonna find women that can do it.
sometimes-
Like it's not like they're not like, so what?
I was gonna say sometimes when the rubber band is being extended one way so much, the knee jerk reaction is to extend it the opposite way. But then it's gonna snap. Like there needs to be a matter of meeting in the middle somewhere.
I know she be on point with these analogies, yo.
All right, thank you guys. Okay,
I was also gonna add that in your case, I guess, like I said, I don't know what you work for, but or what kind of company it is, but keep in mind that, beauty standards and pretty privilege and the whole halo effect thing also comes into play, especially in the workplace. Now, if it was a whole bunch of guys that were doing the hiring at this time of turnaround, I can see why a lot of women would have been hired if they were good looking, you know what I mean, to that particular guy. So you also have those kind of things that affect, hiring.
I don't want to, I really don't want to leave that moment for a second, because I want to say that again plays into why it might be more difficult for a woman, because there's more to measure up to when it comes to beauty standards for women than it does for male. And we talked about it last week, where beauty or physical appearance does play a big role in how you're perceived.
Yes,
like the competency that you bring towards a job.
Absolutely.
So a guy, all he has to do is have a groomed
advantages.
Beard and wear a nice suit.
Yes.
Whereas a woman, it comes into her size, her shape, her height, her eye color, her hair,
fashion.
her fashion, all of that. So I do think that does create more of a barrier for a woman.
Absolutely. Now we all know that beauty is subjective. However, there are those basic standards that everybody has, like a symmetrical face, typically thin, typically white or bright, straighter hair, those kinds of things.
She said or bright. Dolapo, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask, since we're in the workplace, I want to move off the workplace a little bit.
Yeah, I was kind of trying to make that transition.
Do you think that just in life in general, workplace, education, whatever, do you think that as a black woman, you have a harder time getting in the door versus a black man?
Well,
I guess
I'll say, of course, it depends on the industry.
This is not work, you said. This is just.
It doesn't have to be work. I guess
it's just in general.
Work, but it's more about.
Just in general.
Are you talking about glass ceiling?
Opportunities.
Opportunities.
Opportunities. It doesn't have to be work, but I guess it is.
You know what? Let me get us completely off work, but still in the vein of your question. When it comes to romantic partners, right? I feel like the opportunities to make a romantic connection for black women, we do struggle more than other races.
Particularly dark skin.
Because it is fact. I'm sorry, I don't have the actual source today, but it is fact that...
No, listen.
It is fact that black women are seen as the least attractive to other races and our own
black
race,
women and Asian men are both
and Asian men. I was gonna say the counterpart for males is Asian men.
Right.
They're seen as the least attractive.
Yeah.
So as you can see, our black men are not on the same level as us when it comes to the races that are attracted to us.
Mm-hmm.
No. So I'm not going to dispute the facts because I have seen these facts.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. But I also think that it plays into how the black man is like, it's an image. It's not the actual black man that they want. It's this image of what they consider the black man. I don't know if you remember.
BBC.
Strong.
Yeah, right. Like I think if you
Strong.
go back, I remember years ago when LeBron first started playing in the league, there was a cover with LeBron like maybe carrying a white woman.
I've seen that,
like
and it looked like King Kong.
Yeah, and it was like a lot of issues, but it's like that's the image. That's what they're looking for. That's not the actual black man. So while on the surface they say they want black men, like it's
you're right. Maybe
sometimes
you're right, but the packaging is the packaging at the end of the day, and they are attracted to what that packaging is. Like, yes, it comes with other things, but at the end of the day, it's a wrapped up in a sexy black man.
Black women get married less than any other
advertised,
group, both male and female, and race wise. So I mean, like obviously, like there's much more of us than there are of you. Where like I think we count you by black men by like 2 million just in this country alone. So yes, there is that. I mean, you can account for that, but we're still the last to get married as well.
Yeah, but
and that attributes to that attractiveness.
And of course, attractiveness comes into play. But again, I'm going back to it's the image that's been created, and it's both not real and unfair, and like it's a lot of negative things.
Yeah, Delepa, you're right. I get what you're saying. It might not, like, if it wasn't for all the other stuff the black man is perceived to have, yes, maybe they wouldn't move to you as much. But you do come with that. Like, just like how we were saying, there's negatives. There's negatives.
What I'm trying to say actually is what you just said. I don't think that we do come with that.
I was gonna say, I'm saying you come with that according to what they've been sold. You know what I mean? Just like I come as a aggressive black woman according to how I've been sold and packaged.
Yes.
So that's why there is a deterrent from me because of how I've been sold.
Because it's bad for women to look masculine, but when a man looks masculine, it's good for them.
Well, exactly. But what I'm trying to say is that the next level, the in-depth part of it is not just, okay, on the surface they want a big black tough guy, but that is still the same thing that makes the big black tough guy dangerous. It's like it's a level removed. So the things that on a relationship,
the things you're attracted to is the things that you fear.
Exactly. It's like the same thing that they're going to use to judge us negatively.
Yeah, of course.
I
see that.
Instance, they're going to be like, oh, the big strong, but like
that's a fair point, but that doesn't change the fact that me as a black woman in the dating world, right? I think we have it more difficult than black men.
I mean, I think
just when it comes to pure opportunity alone of who's attracted to me, who's taking a second look at me, it's not the same.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's factual. I think
even our own black men, and I'm not trying to shit on y'all, but like it's facts, and I'm gonna come with facts. Date out of their race, according to just men in general of different races, date out more than any other race.
And black women date within their race more than any other race. Like they're less likely to step out and look elsewhere. So you have a monopoly on your black women plus other races that are looking at you.
Yes.
We're like grasping at straws at every corner we can get.
But that's also our fault. I'm not gonna lie. Like, why do we only choose to be with one race? I feel like that's really dumb.
Fair enough. Which now can parlay us into other topics in the sense that women, let's go into that feeling not protected, right?
Yes.
So we feel unprotected by all of them.
Non-blacks.
Non-blacks,
black people too. Also black men.
People. And I do think, though, it comes from a cycle, right? Where you guys are feeling like you're always protecting yourselves. Like there's nobody watching out for us. We are always on guard.
Yes.
And we're always susceptible to pain and hurt and abuse.
From outside our group and within our group as well.
So then you now impart that on your people,
your counterpart,
your counterpart in the sense of black women, because
every 19 hours.
There we go. She came with the facts, guys. I love it because I have these theoretical thoughts, but she has facts to back me up.
You got facts?
But
I got facts, but black men are dying every day.
Every day.
Okay.
Oh my
all
God.
right. So even in that itself, black men die every day. Black women die every day too. I mean, you said 19 hours.
By an intimate partner.
Same way, black men are killed by
cops,
authority,
police,
cops, and everything. Same. It applies to women. It's just not publicized. It's not on TV as much. It's not
and it's not
as much a big
degree.
deal.
Yeah.
I mean, even though it is, as much a big deal as it is as, the black man being shot on TV. Because again, when you think racism, going back to, lynching and everything like that, the black man was what was advertised in newspapers. They killed those black women in the back somewhere.
We got it too.
And buried them.
We were raped,
raped and everything.
Just because we were killed doesn't mean you didn't go through it.
But it's not something that it wasn't as entertaining.
Yeah,
of course.
As hanging a black man, castrating him and things like that. So in the whole patriarchy thing too, it's left and right for us. It's we take the privilege and we also
right. To Lumi's point, you're seeing. I think to Lumi's point, you guys might be seen as maybe not more of a target, but the value for them is seen as greater because now I can prove my masculinity. Yeah, I took down that black man. Like I emasculated him.
Definitely more of a target. I think that that's another perspective I think that is true, right? It's like if you think of this little hierarchy, if you will, if the white man considers himself at the top, right? The person that he looks at as his greatest competition is the black man. So that's the person that he's trying to put down of like, nah, I'm not trying to let you get close to me. So that's why I think that we see a lot of those violent acts.
I guess that's fair. Maybe when it comes to violence in the traditional sense, but there are violence, like there's violence from other means, like sexual assault, for instance. Like let's go back to like the era of slaves. Like maybe the slave master was beating the shit out of the black man, but he was raping the black woman at night. Yeah, like we were getting it in equal doses, maybe just in different ways. Of course. Yeah. And to your point, yes, the black man is seen as the immediate target, probably for the white man.
Even in
but then there, like I mentioned earlier, there's the trickle down effects, though. Well, not only is the white woman looking at us as her, like they're like even when it came to voting, they're like, y'all black women go sit down, like let's handle business as white women rights to vote right before
we did.
So they're worried about themselves.
Black women did start the movement.
Alongside them.
Exactly.
But it became more opportune for them. They're like, y'all go sit down. We got our business to handle.
Exactly.
But outside of that, with that direct parallel, there's the trickle down effect of the black man who is being targeted by the white man now coming down to us. Like, I'm coming home. I'm mad. I'm annoyed. Like, this is what happened at work. So I'm going to take it out on you. That's why you have statistics like every 19 hours. Us being victim of domestic abuse.
That's very true. And I think that is the one thing I didn't think about coming into the conversation was what black women suffer at the hand of black men. Yeah. I was thinking more outside of black people. Yeah. There, I'll stand on my point. But then I do think that you're absolutely right. Like, that's where the man versus woman thing comes in way more because it's kind of like it's a cycle, right? The abused always wants to abuse someone else. Maybe not once, but it's just always kind of happens.
Of power and authority.
Yeah,
exactly.
But Dolapo, I love how we keep talking about negatives, which is why you're saying, okay, maybe when it's not within our race, but outside our race, the black man still has it difficult. But there are positives to being a man that we don't have. Like, for instance, like, okay, let's go back to voting rights. Higher earnings, but let's even go back to voting rights. Like, the black man was able to vote eons before the black woman.
True.
Like, there's positives to having that male gender that we don't get to reap the benefits of.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is true. But I also think that things are changing in the sense that, like, if you look at education, I don't have stats. I should have written down my stats.
No, black women are more educated.
Yeah, like black women are more
educated. Okay, hold up.
That's not true?
No. That's true. What you're saying is right. But I want to kind of expand that a little bit.
Okay.
What's stopping y'all from getting educated?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not about barriers.
Like, what does that got to do with us?
So what's stopping us from getting educated?
Yeah,
in fact, barriers. There's systematic oppression. Guys, we know about the prison system. It's
that's where you have a point.
I don't know if
that's where you have a point.
I don't know if this is factually true. So someone check this. But I feel like I've heard a stat that there's possibly more black men in prison than like college.
I think that is true.
Yeah. So like,
I think it is.
That's what's stopping us from going to college.
That's so true.
But that's a generational.
Do you know how hard that is?
I'm not saying it's
super difficult.
dropout. That's easy, but it's not impossible.
You don't get financial aid if you have a record.
Oh, if you have a felony.
I'm not saying it's not possible.
It's a question.
And you're absolutely right. As
it's
a black man, I would tell another black man, like, listen, don't let that stop you from doing things.
Exactly.
I'm not saying that.
There are always ways.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. College is not the only way to be successful.
From a big picture standpoint,
that's
a huge.
There was a huge generational disruption right there.
Huge deal.
Yeah.
But okay, but even going to before college itself, the black man's struggle starts at home at a young age.
How so?
Parents working 2 jobs. Let's just address a young black man right now.
Yeah.
Parents working 2 jobs. So nobody's really home to guide us children. Let me just not even say just the parents are not home to guide this kid. It goes to school, joins groups, and just finding some sense of belonging. We see these things in movies all the time, right?
All the time.
You join the wrong set of people. They make you do some things. Again, you still want to belong because that is the family that shows you love, or they show you that they care about you. Your parents are not home and things like that.
Is it by force?
You can't say it's not by force. It's social influences.
I mean, yes, but did you end up ever in a gang?
Me?
Yes.
I can give you an example of situations that I could have been.
You could have, but did you?
Friends, no,
well, I think
did you ever end up in a gang?
Wait, listen, Annabelle, listen. I think that one, you're not necessarily talking to the norm. My background is not the.
I know better.
The typical
I was
story,
raised.
right?
Yeah.
So I can't
exactly.
Really be like,
you were raised better.
No,
that's the point.
It's not about how you're raised. I don't think that's the point.
The
point is about the circumstances that you don't control. If you're in a home. And first of all, even having both parents is a luxury. If we're talking about a black home, it's not necessarily the norm. So now let's take
mother that has to
and whose fault is that?
Wait, listen. But we're starting at this point in the life of a young black man's life. The father is not around; it's just the mother. Mother's working day and night, doing everything possible that they can. Right? It's easy to get trapped in the world that's around you because that's the world that's around you. That world. Hold on a second.
Okay.
That world is very threatening to a young black man because it is easy to fall into. Versus, not that a woman can't fall into it, not that there are not other traps that they can fall into, but the pattern for a black man, it's literally like if you step outside, it's easier to be in a gang than to go to school and do all those other things.
Before you even go to the gang thing, right? Let's just say like things that I've experienced in middle school and high school, just going to the mall. And shoplifting was like a thing that kids did, that it was cool.
Of course,
Right.
Realistically, a white boy with shoplifting, they'll let him go.
Of course.
Realistically, a black boy with shoplifting, the cops will put him in cuffs. A 16,
the same thing would happen
15-year-old,
to a black woman as well.
Same thing potentially might happen. It
wouldn't be to the same degree.
It wouldn't be to the same degree. There's a likelihood that they're going to call her parents.
It goes back to that target thing to me. It goes back to that target thing of like the black boy is the target and is like, nah,
you are the example.
I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that how couldn't the same thing happen to a black woman?
It can.
Do you know the
I think,
stats?
Dolapo, you said already that there are other traps that a black woman can fall into, like teen pregnancy amongst black women is like high, for instance.
Ridiculous.
So things like that, I don't think there's like gonna be a natural parallel effect because there's just different traps, different genders get it different ways. Yeah. But I think
even the teen pregnancy, right? It still connects back to the black man because America designed child support for what? Yeah, granted, you're providing for your child, but the rate at which they cut your garnish and all these things and everything that ties into
the reason why child support is needed in the first place. And y'all gonna help me because I'm going to go back to my baby mama episode on I Got Problems Pod. Listen to it on Spotify. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like, I want to bring it back to your point, Dolapo, about single parent homes and single mothers. Who makes single mothers single moms? Because they don't make themselves.
I think that if you want me to answer that, of course, the easy answer is black men make them single moms. But guys, like
we have a 76% out of wedlock rates in the black community. 76.
Can we also acknowledge that
it takes two to tango?
Yes, it does.
And not just
can we also acknowledge that
there's a system?
No, before you even get this, some of this black men tell you they don't want the kid.
Listen, we can get into it. We can get into it, but I don't want to because we're gonna listen.
No, I've had that conversation though, and I would love to have it again. You know, at this point, we should be writing all these pending conversations down.
There's responsibility, like actions. You know, with freedoms comes responsibilities. Having sex is a responsibility. Mm-hmm. If you know how sex works, I'm not gonna go too deep into it. Mm-hmm. If something happens accidentally, you try to do all the things you can. You know what the consequences are. Be responsible for what you decided to involve yourself into because you're not oblivious to how sex works. You're not. I'm just gonna end there because I don't want to continue.
Yeah, no. I think that I'm not gonna make it a blaming one person.
Yeah,
but I think that the other part when it comes down to two people being involved is. There are circumstances, there are systems, there is the environment that makes it easy that fosters these things, that keeps it happening, right? If you think of why is it that you grew up in a house with a single mother and you were poor, but then you have a baby at 16, then your baby has a baby at 16, then you're like, why does that keep happening? Mm-hmm. It's not based on the individuals. That's what I'm trying to get the conversation.
It is lack of education.
And this was starting...
What you just say, lack of education. It's not about the person's education. It's about education in the environment they're in.
But listen,
and this started...
I'm sorry, real quick. I can take it like from a personal example too. Now, my mom didn't necessarily have children young, but she had children... She started having children younger than I am. Mm-hmm. Now, this might be TMI, too much information. But I've decided to wait a little longer to get married personally because I felt like both my mom and my mom's mom jumped into things that they weren't ready for. And therefore it left them, basically, I won't say single mothers per se, but with men, yes, unprepared, and with men who weren't 100%
involved.
Yeah, involved being there. Now, I don't want to have that same situation. So, of course, I'm going to take my time in choosing a partner. But I decided upon myself that I'm going to make that decision so that my next generation, my lineage, doesn't have to deal with that same BS. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's always a choice at the end of the day.
Of course.
It doesn't have to be, my family does it, so I have to also do it.
But your choice came from experiences, education, and critical thinking, I would say. Like, you looked at your past, you looked at your present, and, assessing all those things gave you clearer vision of what you want for yourself in the future, right?
Yes.
I think for our parents' generation, it wasn't a lot of, I'm looking at my past, it was a lot of parental influence, right? Prime example, if you got pregnant, the next thing is marriage. It doesn't matter if you love the guy, it doesn't matter if it could have been a one-night stand. Culture says you're pregnant, you're getting married. And y'all gonna figure it out.
And now we're bringing in other things than where it really started, which is there is one gender in the Black community that tends to get educated at a higher rate, right? And the question was like, what's that all about? And I think to a point I think Annabelle was trying to make earlier is just that, like, yes, we do understand where you're having issues, where there is a barrier in some sense, but women have their own too, which we've all agreed on, and somehow we worked beyond that, which is why, there's the whole movement nowadays about how, like, Black women are just strong, resilient ass groups of people, right?
I don't like that stereotype either, but I agree. Yeah,
fair enough. I think I don't like the pedestal either. I don't.
For me, it's even.
I don't like the pedestal. That's why I said a stereotype right now. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't love it either. It's not a perfect. I don't think it's a perfect, all-encompassing description of a Black woman. I don't like a pedestal because you can easily get knocked off of it. But I'm saying there's a reason why there's this uproar of this, because it does seem like no matter what we're dealt, we somehow find a way around it.
Yeah, so Faye, you were saying that.
Sorry, I don't even know because you
were just talking about how Black women have barriers as well that they face.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think
to get through it. And
exactly.
Not to prolong the conversation because we have gone maybe a little further than we want to, but it's good. It's a good conversation.
It's a good conversation.
Yeah,
I do think that my point is basically let's not underestimate or fail to examine the reason that Black men are not able to go over those barriers. I don't think the barriers are the exact same.
Yeah.
And I think that we talked about targets. I think that they're targeted and they're different targets for Black men and Black women. And so it makes sense that if you have different obstacles, you're going to face them differently and get through differently. So I don't know. To me, I think that we all have it tough. We're all dealing with it. to Annabelle's point, individuals always have the power to
change their destiny,
to change things as much as possible.
Right.
But I also think that someone said something to the effect, but choice is a lot of times a privilege that we take for granted. It's not that easy to make the choices that we make based on whatever situations we're in, because it's just not that easy. Like, I can't imagine if I had a different life than I had, I don't know that I would be where I am. I don't know that I would make the right choices and be in the right place.
I say that all the
time. So I never it's just...
Don't underestimate what was just given to you and the fact that your life turned out a certain way because of it.
But I am genuinely curious, and I think maybe some of our listeners are too. Just real quick, Delapo, you said we definitely have different targets for sure, and I completely agree with that. But speaking specifically to women being more so educated and succeeding and opening their own small businesses and things like that, what specific targets do Black men have that Black women don't have when it comes to reaching those particular goals?
So I think the prison system is a huge one. Yeah. I don't think you can overlook that. And when you think of the prison system, it's not just about going to prison. You have to think about when it starts. It's about juvenile. People go to juvie at whatever age. So you're already in the system. You're already there. You're already dealing with that. I talked about the environment, and as much as Black women deal with the environment as well, it's a different type of thing, right? Like, you talk about, let's say Black women getting pregnant more, higher rates at younger ages and stuff like that. It's an obstacle. It's a different obstacle than being locked up. And it's a different obstacle than being shot. It's a different obstacle than literally having this thing that's like, yo, you can make money if you sell drugs or do this illegal.
I mean, I can start going down my path of like having to do sex work or and being like
the pressure to be
sexually
assaulted, right? The pressure to be a provider, pressure to always have money and bring money to the table. Even in natural society, you can't bag a girl if you don't got money.
I agree with you there.
True. So agreed.
That's facts.
Why would I go spend 4 years in school? Which again, bigger picture, 4 years, 6 years, get your degree and everything, and land yourself in a corporate. Like, young kids see, it draws you in at a young age. Like, shorty want money.
Great point, Louis.
And then you sell weed here, you sell drugs here, you already
making
the money.
With the wrong woman, because a real woman would want you to have a legal job, because she don't want to do that's like in prison.
We're talking about starting at a young age. Starting at a young age. I know kids that actually, one of my neighbors died at 17? Because he started selling weed at the gas station. And I remember 2 weeks prior to, I told him, I was like, yo, this is not it. And I called his sister and his brother, Igbo kid, Nigerian, that this is what your brother did. Like, they've talked to him. Their dad have got in a fights with him and all that stuff. And literally 2 weeks from that day, he was shot and killed, and they dumped his body at the back of their house.
So crazy.
So, like,
now,
he still had a choice.
That's
he had a choice, right?
But the point is that the choice is not... As much as we look at it's basically like
there's more to this story.
Yes,
there's always more to this story.
It's the argument between Democrats and Republicans in the way that they view the Black experience is that Republicans. I hate to do this, but I just have to the state.
No, bring it up. Be real.
Republicans are more of like, yo, you can make a choice as an individual.
Pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
Like, the system.
The system.
Yeah.
And again, this is not tit for tat, and I've already said, like, a woman might be pushed into sex work, whether she wants it or not. A woman is susceptible to domestic abuse. A woman is susceptible to sexual abuse, sexual harassment. Like, there's a lot that comes with being a Black person. I think to end it, really, it's a matter of Black people just live a traumatic life, whether you're the one having the issues or just seeing images. Like you said, Delapo, you grew up in a very different way than a lot of your Black counterparts, but just even being faced with that on a regular basis of what they're getting handed and what they're dealing with is traumatic at some level.
Of course.
So at the end of the day, we're all living a very troubled existence as Black people, but somehow we are all figuring it out. I think we're also the most like resilient. Like, I think find a way to be happy, find a way to
generation.
Black people to prove that.
Yeah.
Our generation and
make the best of our situation.
Gen Z's, the next generation, I think is the generation that I feel like a lot of changes, a lot of things, a lot of, the way things have always been is going to change and is already changing.
They just have to stop eating Tide Pods and get off TikTok.
And they have to do that. And a bigger portion of that is, just talking to these kids and letting them know, this whole strong black man, strong black woman thing is, you know, it's not as
much of a compliment as people think it is.
As you think it is.
It's not.
Right? It's okay for you as a boy to have emotions, you know. It's okay for you as a woman to want to be strong, you know.
To also be seen as vulnerable to our own men.
Exactly, and vulnerable and things like this. Those conversations that, you know, we got, like, why are you crying? You know, why are you crying? Boys don't cry. Or a woman that says, or young girls.
Big girls don't cry.
Or girls don't cry.
Or just being seen as aggressive.
Anytime
when arguing with somebody of another race.
Or take the disrespect.
Anytime there's a stereotype or archetype to live up to, it doesn't really serve anybody. Yeah, I think that's where we should raising
good human beings at the end of the day for the future, right? Just our generation has that responsibility to raise good human beings for the better.
Raise good human beings and work to change the systematic things that are in place as much as we possibly can, because as much as individuals matter and they can make a choice,
and don't have kids if you're not ready.
A lot of times the environment and system is a huge factor. All right.
So we've gone through that episode. Oh my god, I didn't know if we were going to, but here we are at the end of the episode. Time for shout outs, like Delapo just
I don't have any shout outs. My only shout outs is Ghana Independence.
Hey, represent.
Hey, Black Stars. I'm 25% Ghanaian.
Are you really?
By Uber.
I knew I liked you.
By Uber. So a friend of mine uses my Uber a lot, and when she goes to Ghana, so like Uber sent me a message and says happy Ghanaian independence.
Wow.
So now you're an honorary Ghanaian.
That like, so.
Gonna be eating kenken.
And apparently Congo got gold out there. I don't know anything about that, but that's apparently something to big up. Congo with the gold they found.
White men, stay away from Congo.
No colonization.
Isn't Congo already called like the white man something?
Is it really?
It was super. It was super like when you think imperialism.
They should have cut that out the
Congo
media and kept
because
it
of
to
the
themselves,
rubber.
man.
I think they had a bunch of rubber.
I think it was Belgium that was there. One of those countries.
Yeah,
man, we have suffered.
Honestly,
things that used to make batteries or something like that.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, like the thing that powers.
I think Asia.
Vibranium.
Oh my god!
I thought it was rubber.
Oh my
like
god.
something about the
guys.
On that note, let's end this episode. This is a great episode. I really enjoyed having you guys. I enjoyed the topic we had. I think we might have to do this panel again, Delapo.
We sure do.
Definitely.
Don't wait another 2 years before inviting me, man.
All right.
I beg.
Noted here first.
Next time I'll bring stats.
Yes, we'll bring some stats.
I got some stats back.
Bring some snacks too. I'll take snacks as well.
All right.
Stats, not snacks.
Thank you for listening, guys. Thanks for watching.
Peace and love.
Bye.